Welcome to A2Council Update, a recap of the Ann Arbor City Council meeting on January 23, 2023. My name is Elizabeth Nelson, and I served on Ann Arbor City Council from 2018 to 2022. I understand the inner workings of our local government, and I believe that you should too. This week, City Council considered a very short agenda and discussed two major construction projects. After introductory remarks and public comment, Council considered agenda items for a little over 1 hour. This is the voting chart for the Council meeting on January 23, 2023. There was one split vote on an amendment to a resolution. All other items were approved unanimously. You can find this voting chart and more information about this meeting at A2Council.com. 9 people signed up in advance to offer public comments. 5 people spoke on topics on the agenda. 3 people commented on improvements to the East Medical Center Bridge.
I hope that we see a version of this which will not widen the bridge, except for insofar as it's required to widen the sidewalks.
Now you've been presented with a proposal which, as I understand it, would narrow it from 10.5 feet to 10 feet. So it's less bad, but it's still not good, and it's not what's needed.
The university, if they want what they want, they should pay more for what they want.
One person spoke in support of the historic district for the Robert and Irma Hayden House. Another commenter spoke about 2 construction contracts on the agenda. He referenced a new city policy of evaluating contract bids based on best value, rather than awarding contracts to the lowest responsible bidder.
The 4 contracts described in my email illustrate how flawed implementation of our best value policy has already potentially wasted almost $1.6 million in just 8 months over competing qualified lower bids and appears to have chilled competitive bidding. Implementation of best value has resulted in potential much higher bids, $1.6 million, $2.5 million on an annual basis, and has completely eliminated competitive bidding of the work that Bailey likes to do.
These are highlights of council deliberation this week. The consent agenda included 10 items with expenditures of $17.7 million. 2 items were pulled from the consent agenda for discussion. Item CA1 was a $9.6 million contract for renovation and reconstruction of the East Medical Center Drive Bridge. The University of Michigan and the City of Ann Arbor have been in discussion about the repair of this bridge since at least 2021. In 2021, a memo from city staff explained the need for repair of this bridge as an access point for the Regional Trauma Center and Emergency Room at the University of Michigan Hospital, and also clarified the need for expansion. Also from that memo, the university has agreed to pay for 100% of the cost of widening the bridge, in addition to 50% of the cost to rehabilitate the existing structures. Their funding participation in this project is predicated upon the assumption that the bridge will be widened. In October 2021, City Council approved a $1 million contract for engineering services for design and repair of the bridge. A bare majority of council approved an amendment requiring that any additional width or capacity would be used to facilitate and encourage multimodal travel, such as transit, carpool, or bike. In February 2022, City Council approved a resolution removing that qualification so that the project could move forward. This week, a substitute resolution was offered and accepted as a friendly amendment, without a vote. That substitute resolution set aside the construction contract for renovation of the bridge. The bridge will be redesigned and must be rebid for a new contract. The resolution also includes over $2 million in added cost. The city will contribute an additional $500,000, and the university will pay just over $1.5 million. City Administrator Dehoney explained the alternative resolution and the delay caused by yet more design.
I would be remiss if I didn't express appreciation to our staff and to those at the university for the many sessions we had to come up with it. The financial arrangement that you see indicated within the document is where it is, with a big assumption on what will happen when it gets rebid a year from now.
At the table, council members introduced new elements to the design that staff had not had time to consider or price. Mr. Dehoney explained the significance of these last-minute changes, both in cost and delay.
I can't say anything that's added beyond this point would be 100% city cost. We're talking about a project that will have to be rebid and we're also talking about pushing out construction by 1 year. So information that we have now may or may not be relevant by the time we actually get down to seeing the bid, getting the information back. This project will now span over 3 consecutive fiscal years before it's done.
Councilmember Briggs acknowledged the whole of the cost being contemplated.
It's a new design we're requesting, which is an additional $650,000 estimated. Additional construction cost is estimated around $850,000 now, as opposed to $500,000 last year, which we're seeing construction costs increase each year. So that makes sense. And there's a project contingency of $505,000.
At one point in discussion, she proposed rejecting the plan entirely.
I am comfortable with not widening the bridge. I haven't seen any modeling to suggest that having 2 lanes in and 2 lanes out wouldn't accomplish our needs just as well as 1 lane, 2 lanes in and 3 lanes out. So I guess I'd like to have a tough conversation here around, where folks are at on this. I mean, in some ways would be comfortable with, I guess I'd like to have a conversation.
In the 2021 memo from city staff, it was explained that 70% of U of M hospital patients are admitted from communities outside Ann Arbor, and most of the trips to the hospital campus come from patients traveling by automobile. Also, that the intersection of Fuller Road, Maiden Lane, and East Medical Center Drive has experienced congestion issues for some time, and future traffic models predict that this condition will worsen. And additional capacity at the East Medical Center Drive Bridge is key to the intersection functioning at an acceptable level and maintaining adequate access to the hospital. Several friendly amendments were added to the resolution without a vote. Council voted on only one amendment to the resolution, a demand for minimum sidewalk widths and the construction of protective barriers along both east and west sidewalks. The amendment was approved by all of council except for Mayor Taylor, who emphasized the value of what had already been negotiated and questioned the need for the barriers.
If it were consistent with our cost estimates, I would be comfortable with that as an exploration, but to require it here, in my view and understanding, throws out the earnest effort on the part of the university to reach common ground here. I walk up and down stadium bridges all the time. There's no protected lane there. Cars are moving far faster than they are moving at East Medical Center Drive. And, me and my dogs are fine there.
Council voted unanimously to postpone the substitute resolution, as amended, to the next meeting. In agenda item CA3, Council considered a $5.7 million contract for water main and resurfacing work at South Main from William to Huron. In discussion, Councilmember Iyer responded to the public commenter from earlier in the evening, who shared data about the increased cost and reduced competition for city contracts under a new bidding process. Councilmember Iyer characterized that commenter's data and concerns as simply anti-union. She further explained,
we did only receive one contract or one bid for this RFP. That happens. If you look back through the history of city bidding, it happens with a fair amount of frequency. And there are lots of reasons for that. There are times when we only get one bid. The idea that other contractors didn't bid this because the bid went to Bailey is ludicrous. But I did just want to make those clarifications for the public because I think it's important.
Further discussion?
in fact, these contracts do not typically receive only one bid. The last 4 city projects for water main and resurfacing work received multiple bids. In 2019, water main and resurfacing at Longshore, Indianola, and Ottawa prompted 6 bids. In 2020, a water main and resurfacing contract at Barton Drive prompted 4 bids. In 2021, a water main and resurfacing contract at Dunmore, Waverly, Weldon, and Hartford prompted 9 bids. In 2022, a water main and resurfacing contract at 3rd and Mosley prompted 5 bids. In June 2022, Council was warned that the city's new policy, as implemented, would discourage bids due to favoritism unrelated to price or quality of work. A local contractor with a long history working with the city explained.
The city, at this point, plans to spend $437,000, or almost 12% more than my bid. And I've done lots of projects in the city of Ann Arbor. You know, at what point does the city say enough is enough? If I'm not going to have the opportunity to be awarded a job that I'm low on, I say to myself, what's the sense in spending time in engineering to bid these projects?
Outside of city government, Councilmember Iyer owns a consulting business. Her website advertises her particular focus on promoting labor unions and further boasts that she championed the city's current bidding process as a member of Ann Arbor City Council. Council unanimously approved the $5.7 million contract with Bailey Excavating for water main replacement and resurfacing at South Main. Council then unanimously approved the establishment of a historic district at 1201 Gardner, the former home of Robert and Irma Hayden. Robert Hayden was the first Black American to be named Poetry Consultant to the Library of Congress, a position that would later become the title Poet Laureate. Hayden taught at the University of Michigan and lived with his wife Irma at 1201 Gardner from 1969 until his death in 1980. Council unanimously approved a $39,000 payment in order to settle litigation related to an auto accident involving a city police officer. Finally, Council unanimously approved a resolution that allows the city to be listed as a supporting municipality on an amicus brief for Biden v. State of Nebraska. The city formally supports President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. Council discussion of the agenda ended around 8:50 p.m. Council then met in closed session for 40 minutes to discuss pending litigation related to the Gelman dioxin plume. The meeting officially adjourned at 9:30 p.m. without any additional public comment. For more details about this meeting, visit A2Council.com. Like and subscribe if you want to be alerted to more updates like this one.